All right, it is 11 o'clock, and we have such great information to cover. I want to make sure that we have a chance to get into it. So first, let me officially welcome you. My name is Alan Reed. I'm the Executive Director of the Chicagoland Food and Beverage Network, and I am so excited to bring you today's webinar, Energy Efficiency in the Food and Beverage Industry, How to Reduce Cost and Make Your Business More Sustainable. We have a terrific panel of food and beverage industry experts who are going to share insights with you. And we have a big crowd. You'll see this room is going to be jam-packed. I don't. Can you fill a Teams room? I don't know how that works, but we will be doing that in just a second. Very quickly, while we're letting folks come in, the Chicagoland Food and Beverage Network is a 7-year-old industry organization that brings together the food and beverage industry of the greater Chicagoland area for all sorts of things. We share great information like we're going to share with you today, as well as bringing together industry around important topics that have an impact on our business. And of course, things like sustainability and energy efficiency have a huge impact on everyone's business. So we have 125 corporate members and a followership of like 32,000 food and beverage industry professionals. And we are thrilled to be able to bring together folks from Chicagoland and beyond to hear the terrific information today. Our room is getting pretty full, so I think we're going to go ahead and have our panelists introduce themselves. So first, let's take down this slide just so we can see our panelists' faces just a little bit better, if you wouldn't mind. Would love to hear from, so Ron Homolka, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Alan. My name's Ron Homolka. I'm the facility lead for Mars Wrigley Confectionery in Burr Ridge, Illinois. I've been there about 25 years. I have about 30 years experience in the food industry. My specific plant makes all the ice cream products for Mars candy, which would be Dove ice cream, Starburst, Snickers, all that kind of stuff. So we're the only ice cream manufacturing plant in the U.S.
Fantastic. I'm hungry already, and it's only 11 o'clock. Alan Stevens, will you go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Yes, my name is Alan Stevens. I'm with Maricopa Pizza in Gurnee, Illinois. I've been a maintenance manager here at this facility for a little about 12 years. We produce a lot of pizza, about 200 million pizzas a year out of this facility. I've been in the food manufacturing world for about 25 years. Worked with companies like Kraft, Tyson, PepsiCo. So I have a vast experience on energy and energy conservation, and we make pizzas here. Everybody likes pizzas.
Again, you're continuing to make me hungry. Even it could just be because lunchtime is coming, but
Okay.
And then Brian Smith, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Brian Smith. I've been with the United States Cold Storage for 31 years. I am the regional engineer. I cover Indiana and Illinois. And unlike my counterparts here, we don't make food, we just store it. So you're not going to get hungry here.
Well, we couldn't do it without you, so we appreciate that. Obviously, we have panelists with just a depth of experience across the food and beverage industry. And rounding out our panel is Eric Peterson. Eric, will you introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Alan. Eric Peterson, senior engineer with Cascade Energy, and I've been working with various parts of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program over the last 5 years. But right now, I'm primarily working on the custom program and industrial systems, which are just a couple of the offerings. But really what that means is I go help find facilities like you, find energy projects, evaluate them, see what you're going to save, and then measure the savings and ultimately give people some incentive checks for projects are done. And I think if that's all of us, I'm going to share.
Yeah, you're going to share a couple of slides and just could give some background so we're all talking from a common language.
There you go. Well, I'll do my best to give you a high level introduction to some of the offerings within the program. So kind of go forward. So here's just some of what's available. One thing we definitely want to point out is free facility assessments. There's plenty of ComEd engineers and people ready to come out and take a walk through your facility to help you find energy savings projects. Give you a short report, let you know, the actual energy cost, but then also what potential incentives are available. So if you're not sure where to start, this is the best way. We'll have some contact information at the end. Reach out to us. We'll have someone come out there and figure out where to get things started. Column 2 there, if you already know what you're doing, or once we find those projects, there's plenty of incentives available. And these are designed to cover the cost of the projects. And this can cover up to 100% of the cost of the project. Yes, 100%. Incentives are typically based on how much energy is saved on an annual basis. So there's some pre and post measurement and things to verify that. I do want to point out there's a lot of pre-approval process that needs to be done. So if you've got some shovel-ready projects or some stuff you've been sitting on and you want to get moving on, please reach out right away so we can get that in the system. And also there's a few other, I don't know if we were supposed to, bonus incentives, some other things going on right now. We want to see if we can kickstart some projects earlier in the year. So there's some stuff, if we can get some applications in now and close things out this year, I believe that's a 25% bonus on top of the incentives. And also, depending on where you're at, some select communities are eligible for an additional 15%. And we can stack all this, again, right up to 100% of the cost. So,
and just, Eric, we're going to be able to share these slides so that people don't have to take pictures of all of these. We will share these with everybody registered as a follow-up to this, so that everybody will have these slides afterward, just to keep people from having to scribble them down and take notes. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. And again, reach out to us. We'll figure out which incentive is appropriate. You don't have to call us up asking for one. We'll figure out the product and we'll get you pointed in the right direction. But some incentives in the third column there that aren't exactly based on verified savings, just kind of some nameplate stuff, things like lighting, some commercial equipment, commercial kitchen equipment, fork trucks and battery chargers, some HVAC equipment. That's some point of sale discounts based on the size of the unit and things like that, that we can just get that new equipment installed pretty quickly and easily. And then, taking a bigger look at things, and the fourth column there's optimization. We have whole building retro commissioning is available. Looking at rooftop units, the big ones on your production areas, not just your office HVAC. Comprehensive studies with an engineering firm looking at compressed air, industrial refrigeration, process cooling systems. Deep dives into that, looking for projects. And then the last bullet there, SEM, strategic energy management, could be a slide all its own. High level, that one, beyond just finding and doing the energy projects, you get an energy coach and you work long term to develop that energy culture and really lock in those long-term savings. So just briefly touching on some of the many options. Here's a little synopsis of the program's been around since 2008 and some of the things that have been accomplished. Big one there, $8.75 billion in energy savings. Some equivalents there on 76 million megawatt hours, 6.6 million cars off the road. All of this while you guys are making more stuff. I mean, we all know ComEd territory is producing and doing more since 2008, all with less energy. So just some numbers there on the success of the program. By now, some of you may be asking where the money comes from. It comes from you. The industrial customers, a really teeny tiny fraction of your bill is going into a big pot. If you pull your bill out, you'll see there's a line there for energy efficiency programs. See, it's 4/100 of a cent or so. There are some ways for really big customers to opt out, but most of you are paying into this. So while we say free assessments and things like that, really, let's take advantage of the program. Why don't you call us up and get your money's worth? But that's where the money for these facility assessments and the incentives and instant discounts and things come from. And that's my last slide. Snap a screenshot if you want, but these will be available again. And again, we're recording this, and you can always reach out to Alan. You can always go to ComEd.com, click on ways to save. You'll find a number there. But if you do have these, to the left there, Claire Flaherty, she's a program specialist touching on a bunch of different programs. She can get you pointed in the right direction. Anne is doing outreach for the custom program. So that's a big lift that she's doing right there, and she'll get you started on some projects and help find somebody to help you find those projects if need be. And there's my contact information there at the end, and same story. Give me a shout and I can help you get started. So that's all I got, Alan. I'll give it back to you.
Thank you, Eric. And I think we're going to share those contacts in the chat. And again, I know we'll be sending those out in our post webinar email. So you will get those. You will get those in your inbox. You'll see it come from Chicagoland Food and Beverage Network. Just as a thank you for attending. Just keeps you from getting writer's cramp as we work through all of that. So now we're going to dig in with our panelists. And we're going to start with a simple question. Just tell us a little bit about your experience participating in the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program. Again, Ron, why don't we start with you?
My experience. We've been working with the ComEd SEM program for approximately 10 plus years on and off. We've been in the program from officially since 2019. We've done about 18 capital projects outside of its SEM work, but we did receive ComEd incentives for these projects. So that's prior to the 2019 official being into the program. So it's been a good experience. I have no problem with it. It's been good for the company and good for the environment.
Terrific. Alan, what are your thoughts?
Well, we came into the SEM ComEd team back in 2021. We were approached and we took advantage of that. It was great on team building. I brought a lot of our team members in. I wanted them to participate in this. It was a great experience for us. Came in, did some treasure hunts. We made it a day-long event. Brought luncheon for the team. We divided ourselves up into teams, went over the plant, see where the opportunities are. And we came back, whiteboarded the whole thing. We probably had 80 different items that we were looking at. And it was great. We really had a great experience with it. And we're still in it. We still like it. We kind of have a model here, Saving Energy's Fun, because we make it a fun event. And our coaches at ComEd are very, very knowledgeable. We use people from the outside to help us, especially on refrigeration. We have ammonia systems here and a lot of HVAC systems for our freezers. And they're great support for us on a technological standpoint. We don't know everything. We always need outside help. And they've been a great resource to help us.
Outstanding. Thank you. And Brian, what's your experience been?
Well, we've been working with ComEd for a lot of years. We started back probably about 2016 with an LED light project. We basically had a payback of that light project of less than 12 months. So by changing out that program lights, it did cost the company a little upfront capital, but they got a ComEd rebate and the lights paid for themselves in a year. So it was a good project. We've done other projects with them, from new buildings to retrofits. You can see the check behind me was one of our ComEd big check presentations. That was a project where they came in, ComEd did a study of the energy study of the refrigeration system, and we made some upgrades. We we had to wait for capital money because they came in, we did the thing, we said, okay, this is going to be a big project. We went to corporate, we got the funds, and then we did the project. And once again, that was another project that it did cost some money, but it paid back in less than 2 years by putting VFDs on evaporators, VFDs on compressors. We changed some settings on glycol. We did wet bulb control. So just using the control system and fine tuning the system.
Perfect. And how convenient that check just happens to be sitting there during the webinar. I'm sure that was just a coincidence, but and you guys have already started to talk about it just a little bit, but you're sharing your kind of personal experience for what kinds of incentives and support were provided, what kinds of equipment was upgraded, and and how much incentives play a role in making that work. So can you talk a little bit more about the kinds of incentives? You already touched on some, but Ron, you were saying you've got 18 projects, if I heard correctly.
Yeah, it was 18 projects over probably about 14 years. Some specific things we did, which has been for based on incentives, we did some like the other gentleman said, we have a large ammonia refrigeration system here, and that's our biggest consumer of electricity because we're an ice cream facility. And so we added, through the help of ComEd, we added VFDs to our large ammonia compressors, which did produce a savings, and we saved about one compressor 148,000 kilowatt hours and received an incentive of about $17,000 in savings there. So another one, we did about 62,000 kilowatt hours of savings and about almost $12,000 dollars in incentives. And those were paid in 21 and 22. So yeah, we've been quite active in this.
Alan, how about you?
Well, we have completed 24 projects over the
Wow.
last 3 years. Very aggressive on it. Again, most of our savings, like Ron, was our ammonia system because we have some large compressors, and we did things like timing our refrigeration. At nighttime, we don't need it really. We bring down the pressure on our load on our compressors, and between 1 and 4 in the morning, and we came out great. We also do a lot of ultrasonic testing on air. We had a 75 kilowatt air compressor screw that we shut off. We don't even use it anymore because we took care of our air leaks, and that was a great incentive. I'm still on one compressor. It was great, but some of those things are really good. So we actually, our incentives, we received $20,000 in this last incentive check for our cost savings, and actually brought our cost down, energy down 9% in the plant, which is tremendous for us. And we had a lot of fun doing the projects.
Perfect. And I just saw a question appear in the chat. We are going to take questions, but we're going to do it at the end, just because some of the questions will get asked or get answered as we go through the panel, and then we can sort of do sort of a focus time for Q&A. So please put your questions into the chat. We will get to just as many of them as we possibly can. It just makes us able to have that conversation a little more in a little more fluid way. So appreciate your patience with that. We do want those questions. Do get them into the chat, and we'll go from there. So thank you for that, Alan, and thank you for the question, Alex. And then Brian Smith, anything to add? Any other big checks hiding around your office?
No, but we participate in the SEM program, Strategic Energy Management, in Minooka and Wilmington. We did Minooka in 2021. We completed 41 projects. We saved about 600,000 kW with an annual savings of about $57,000. So that was about 6% reduction. And the SEM program is more of a low cost, no cost program that ComEd, they come out and they call what they do treasure hunts. And you get other departments. We can bring HR with customer service, just a different set of eyes to walk around. And it might be as simple as, hey, why is this heater running in this room? Can we turn this down? Or can we change this set point on the refrigeration system? Or do this light need to be on? And it's basically, it's cost the company really no money, but you can save a ton of energy and save money, get paid.
Love it. And you've talked about treasure hunts and a couple of other things. What are all the ways you find and sort of evaluate these projects as they're coming up? How do you, so again, you've mentioned treasure hunts. So then how do you know which ones you're going to go do? Which ones are the biggest? How's that working?
So we work with our ComEd coach, and we'll rank these projects and say, hey, this one is a very easy project and it has very good savings, based on, hey, this is a little more complicated and we can get more savings, and this might, take a little more time to do. So by working with the coach, and ComEd, we can rank these projects and say, okay, let's tackle these first and then move down our list of into the more complicated. Hey, we can finish this project in a day, or this one's going to take 3 months to kind of come together. But over the long haul, you're going to see a real savings.
I love it. So it sounds like you're doing some real cost benefit analysis to figure out what the highest impact projects are.
Correct. And with ComEd, there's a program called Sensei that they put all the projects in. And Eric can probably talk more about Sensei, but it's a very good tool to track and show what projects you've done and how your savings is going.
Eric, do you have any just comments, or so it sounds like that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, we can get it. There's a number of ways to, if you guys, well, that's one part of the puzzle, right? When and how or where you're using your energy. So between Sensei and there's Business Energy Analyzer, and there's some other resources we have to get you guys your energy. So as part of all this, whether you're in SEM or not, you can reach out to us and we can, can't fix what you don't measure, right? So if you want to get some of that information, we have different ways to get that to you too.
So, and again, excuse me for just stating what I think has already been said, but so ComEd helps you identify the projects and then helps you figure out, in terms of cost benefit analysis, which is the best investment of your time.
Correct. So they're a big source.
Yeah.
Awesome. Terrific. Great to hear. So panelists, so then how has your participation in all these programs contributed to reducing your environmental impact or your sustainability goals? And can you share any data or metrics that you might have on those things? Ron, I'm going to put you on the spot there.
Yeah, Mars is continuing with their sustainability push, and for our particular facility, the Beverage facility, they want us decarbonized by 2027, and because where we're at in the system right now. With the program, we have reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 1,488 metric tons of carbon dioxide over this period of time being in this program. So yeah, I'd like to add to what the other gentleman said, that ComEd helps you pick your projects. A lot of the projects don't cost you any money. That's the big thing too. Sometimes it's as simple as, like someone said, turning off a light or changing a set point on your large refrigeration system. And that will save you a lot of money, which will contribute to the greenhouse gas emission savings. So it's not always a lot of money. A lot of it is they have the experience and knowledge to say, hey, did you look at this? Did you think about this? And during your treasure hunt, that's when you find this stuff and you go through the further evaluation, and it does save you money and save you a lot of CO2 there.
Outstanding. Alan, you looks like you're chomping at the bit to share something.
Oh yeah, of course. So our reduction annually has been over 547 metric tons of carbon and the greenhouse gases, and year over year. And like Ron just talked to and Brian did, the data that you get back from the Sensei is great. We do a lot of tracking, and we track and also our action items. So we keep us going. We have that website to go to and say, hey, these are the projects we're working on, guys, for my team. And we go through that and we say, okay, where are we at? Keeps us on track. And then we can look at the data and say, hey, this is what we've done. This is the results. So we get our data back, and it's really data driven. A lot of things there too is like they can calculate how many kilowatts you're going to save with a certain project. You give them the information, they run it through. This is going to save you what your annual kilowatt savings is going to be. And that's a great thing. And, this over the whole period, our annual savings on kilowatts has been 771,000 kilowatts over time. And that's tremendous. And we're a small plant. We're not really big. And we're pretty lean when it comes to our support systems, our air, our HVAC, and our ammonia. And it really caused an impact to the bottom line. I mean, you try to make 9% of product, and that's huge. That's on the profit side. And when you can say that kind of thing, it really, people open their eyes and go like, wow, this is amazing. You know, just a little bit of work and make it fun and have team building events and people love it.
And also, you had mentioned in one of our pre-meetings that you're actually bringing additional sites into the program. So
Yes,
it's
we have. Yeah, we have two other plants in Elk Grove Village, our sister plants, and we brought them on last year, and they're doing I think they've done already 10 or 12 projects there. I don't have all the information in front of me what their cost savings has been, but they're participating also. So we brought them on board. We had success there, and they are also having success at the plant there in Elk Grove Village.
outstanding. And Brian, anything to add to that in terms of your sustainability goals?
Well, in Minooka, when we started, we did 450 metric tons we saved. That's about 101 cars that came off the road, if you compare it. In Wilmington, they did 584 metric tons, which is about 130 cars. So that helps our sustainability goals as a company also. And like Ron said and Alan said, it's all about saving money. So as the power bill comes down, you save money. And that was just, those numbers are just under SEM, Strategic Energy Management, which are like the low cost, no cost numbers. All the other projects that we did, that's all different number. That was just under the SEM, very low cost savings.
Outstanding. So again, sounds like amazing results. So what long-term changes have you noticed in your energy consumption and efficiency? And so are you seeing the savings compound year over year? What's been your experience? And again, anyone can start with that, and we'll make sure all three of you get an opportunity.
Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, we've seen year over year we're at 9%, and as we go through the program, we're seeing that number actually come down as we're going through. So as we bring new projects on and we look at them, that number gets better and better. So the sustainability through the program, our cost reduction on our electric bill comes down, and we track that. So we can, over time, we can see that. We can also, on real time, actually see our kilowatt usage. So if we see a peak or something, we can go right back and go, we see a peak here, what's going on here? And we can investigate, correct whatever that might be, and move forward.
Very cool. Ron, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, we've saved. We like we've discussed before. We can't control the price of energy, but we can control what we use. So I mean, we've saved about 2.1 million kilowatt hours per year, which is about $187,000 per year annually of energy. So that does contribute to the bottom line and contributed how we run our factory. It's very important. Mars is very conscious of the environment, but they're also conscious of the bottom line. So it works both ways. It's a win-win.
And you may not be seeing this in the chat, but there's an awful lot of love for Mars net zero by 2027. So like there's hearts and flowers and a whole bunch of other stuff, which is nice. So good for you all for pushing hard.
Thank you.
Brian, are you seeing sustainable savings or sustainable reductions?
Yeah, like just off the first one we mentioned was like the LED light project. We did that many years ago. So those LEDs are still in the freezer. And we went from high pressure sodium and metal halide lights to LEDs. That savings was one that paid for itself within a year. And we keep seeing that savings year over year. We went to VFDs on the evaporators. We saved 400,000 kilowatts, every year just because of that project. We've also, with the VFD on compressors, that same compressor is running year over year, and that VFD just keeps doing it. So those are some of the bigger projects that we've done that every year we just recoup the same money. We got the incentive from ComEd, but every year it comes off the power bill because we're not seeing those additional KWs.
Outstanding, outstanding. And again, thank you for your questions. Continue to put those into chat. Jim Bogoslawski, you're an A student for putting everything in there. So gold star for you. We will circle back to those in just a minute. So panelists, based on your experience, what advice would you give to other utility customers that are considering this program? And like, why don't we, Ron, I'll start back with you again, since you're getting hearts and flowers on your program.
Well, thanks to all. My advice would be, I would go for it. I would definitely explore the program because it will save you money and will save you energy. I mean, the experts, I believe Alan said it, the experts that are provided by ComEd really do know what they're talking about. I mean, you can come in a little skeptical, but once you start talking to them and dealing with the team that you're assigned to, they do come up with a lot of good ideas. There is a little bit of work. There's a little bit of work on your end, coming up with money, data, and allowing ComEd to come in there and look at your equipment. Also add data recorders to specific pieces of equipment to verify your savings. That's the good thing. A lot of people will promise you savings, but ComEd does a good job in quantifying the savings actually at your factory. So you know when you do a project that you're really going to save money. So it's a good experience. I would say explore the program. It's well worth it.
Terrific. And your notes from earlier were saying the savings were even bigger than you thought they might be, walking
Correct.
in.
Correct. Yes. I'm a skeptical person from the get-go, but as you get into the program more and deal with the ComEd team, it was more than I thought it would ever have been.
Terrific. And Alan, you were skeptical to start with as well, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a skeptical person by heart. You got to prove it to me, right? So yeah, we came in. We had the team come in from ComEd. They did our treasure hunt, and I think by the end of the day, once we saw the data, and we started about what can we save, what are we looking at, my skepticism went right away. It was great. Once we see the data, it really proves you as a skeptic that you're wrong. Data really proves a lot. So we had a lot of fun with it, and there's a whole, even there's no wrong answer on things, I think. So when people bring those ideas up front, and like I said, we had a whole whiteboard full of ideas, and we picked them off one at a time. It was a lot of fun.
So every time you say that, I continue to be surprised that that ComEd can make energy efficiency fun. I think if I said that to people, they wouldn't believe it. So back to your skepticism.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And then Brian, you've touched a little bit on just the experts and the coaches. Can you expand on that just a little bit more? Because I know that was some of your advice, is really take advantage of the resources.
Yes, as ComEd, the SEM program, it's free to join, and they not just the energy savings, but the training they can provide with, you have like a monthly meeting, they do trainings, and the knowledge that you can gain and look at different options that you have, so you become more aware of what you can do, not just at this facility, but maybe you take it to the next facility. So they might not be part of SEM, but the knowledge they can bring, you can find, energy savings on your own.
Terrific. And then, so for all of you, do you have any advice for anyone who's starting on an energy efficiency project? And Alan, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I think you have to get your people involved. I think, and I say this a lot, it's a lot of team building. You can't do it alone. I can't do it alone as a maintenance manager. I need my team. And I think that really brings a good whole effort when you have a whole team that can come in and do that, and it really brings your people together. I did it more for that incentive more than anything else, is to bring my team together. We work on these projects together, and we have ideas, and everybody has a different mindset, maybe different education, maybe different background. Like I think Ron was saying, or Brian, bring HR in, bring different people in, and they might have a different perspective and different ideas than you might have.
Terrific. Ron, do you have anything to add to that?
Just that it's a collaborative effort. You're like Alan said, you bring different people in there. Everyone's got an idea. There sometimes the ideas are a little out there, but they do make sense after a while. And then you prioritize what you can do. And we did the same thing. We did the treasure hunts, and we brought in people from operators from our production lines just to get a different perspective. And it does work. And some came up with some good ideas, and we used them. So, I mean, it's a team thing. You can't do it yourself, like Alan said.
Outstanding. And Brian, what's your advice for anyone who's considering starting an energy efficiency project?
ComEd has a wide variety of programs, from capital programs to new buildings. So if you're building a new building, you can get a hold of them, and they can kind of guide you through the process of what and where you could save money on what items. So it's not just the SEM, the Strategic Energy Management Program. That's just one. There's capital projects, there's retrofit projects, there's lighting projects. So anything you can think of, they probably have some program that would help you.
Outstanding. And Eric is standing by now to get you started on all those, right?
Exactly. I appreciate that, Brian. You took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to add on to that one too. I mean, there's a lot of different. The three we have on here are great examples where you heard them touch on it. They touch on custom. They did some capital project, and they got a check to pay for new equipment, and now they're deep in the throes of SEM, and they're working with a coach to learn how to operate that equipment and lock in those savings. So, yeah, you three are great examples. I love. I know. Tack on to something you mentioned there, Brian. Expansions. If you guys are, again, new building, there's a whole new construction part of the program, and for buying and selecting equipment above code, above what we would consider baseline, right? You can buy the cheap stuff, and it's going to higher operating costs for the life of that equipment. If you're expanding your facility, if you're putting in a new process, and it's you're adding load to the system or anything like that, there's an incentive for buying better equipment, which is, again, it's going to lower your long-term operating costs, and we're going to help pay for that upfront cost and cover the difference there to get you that better stuff too. So thanks for bringing that up, Brian. New construction, expansions, all that kind of stuff. If you're doing a project you think is going to have an effect on your energy use, even if that's not the intent, give us a ring. Let us know. We'll see what we can help you out with.
Outstanding. Thanks, Eric. So, and I do want to make sure we have time to take some questions. So if questions have come up you haven't put in the chat, now is a great time. Now is a great time to do that, because we will be turning to that in a second. But final question for our panelists before we start taking questions from you all. What is the one key takeaway from your experience in participating in the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program? Like, your one thing you want to leave somebody with. What are your thoughts there?
Mine is the program, the expertise involved. The ComEd does give you a lot of a library of expertise that you need, that you may not have thought of, and their teams help you out a lot. Like we said before, that this is not something you do by yourself, and you don't feel all alone getting into these projects and going through the program. So by all means, use their expertise. They're a part of your team also. So you have your team at your facility, then you have your ComEd team, and you guys all work together. So it's very collaborative, and their knowledge is great.
Thanks, Ron. Brian, anything you'd like to add?
Oh, I like to make my problems ComEd problems. So if there's a difficult situation where we can't figure it out and it's part of the SCM program or one of the other, they have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experienced people. So they can guide you sometimes. Hey, and just, hey, we've had this problem, and they might have seen it at a different plant, or they have enough resources that they can guide you and get back to you and say, hey, try this and see if it works. Or, hey, we've seen that and this is what we've done to fix it.
Terrific. And Alan, we'll give you the last word here, and then we'll start taking some questions.
Sure. Yeah, we've just enjoyed our partnership with ComEd. Like the other two panelists said, the expertise there is amazing. The classes, it's actually free to get the like ammonia classes. We go through there, and we have participants that are on those classes. They provide the books, and we go do that once a month, and the partnership is great. And the questions that we have, they can be answered, or they'll find out and get back to us.
Terrific stuff. So I'm going to ask my personal question, then we'll dig into the chat. All three of you work with refrigeration, so I think some of those savings are going to be really large. But do other facilities that are not doing refrigeration but do other things in food and beverage see similar kinds of energy savings? And Eric and Ann, I think that might be more for you than for our panelists, but just want to make sure we're providing some perspective there.
For sure. Yeah, these three just happen to be in and we have different cohorts. We have, even within SEM, you guys are in the industrial refrigeration cohort because of your large ammonia systems, but
Yes.
there's a mixed industrial, and that's got everybody from metal fabricators to, I don't know, anything you can think of, right? And then there are people that are just here and there touching the program, getting an LED project just done straight through standard, or just doing a one-off custom project here and there too. So yeah, Brian said it, there's a lot of options, a lot of opportunities, and yeah, we can help anybody. Everybody's got compressed air, everybody's got all kinds of different stuff, everybody's got lights, but your systems. So kind of I think it was Alan was saying, ComEd's going to bring their experts. You're experts in your production. So if there's something you're working on your end, we can work with you and work on that expertise. And if there's something we can help you out that we're more familiar with, do that too.
Terrific. I want to make sure we're sharing broadly across everybody in the food and beverage industry, so there's something for everybody there. Terrific. So let's dig into a couple of those questions. So and again, Jim Bogoslawski, you're our gold star question guy for the day, so appreciate that. Is funding available for ISO? Is it 50001 energy management certification? And I see you nodding your head. I just want to it's either Ann or Eric, can you help me out here, because I don't know the answer.
I'm not sure either. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Bonus
that's it,
question
definitely.
there. We can definitely look into that and find out. We work with a lot of customers that are in that program, but we then do strategic energy management on top of that, providing incentives. It's sort of it's a continuous improvement type of programs SEM is. So it really works in conjunction with that ISO 50001. But if there's funding available, we would have to look into that for you and get back to you for that. Yeah.
And then a follow-up question there is also on solar electric projects or solar projects. Any incentives there?
There are, but we don't know what they are. Yeah, we always we're on the energy efficiency side, we're on the demand side, so we're out here trying to get you guys to use less. We would shuffle you off onto the solar people. It's a different department within ComEd, so
Yeah,
we don't have a direct answer for you there, but we want you to use less. That's what we're here for.
We know how to get you there. So yeah.
Got it. So I'm gonna there's a question around switching energy types, so specifically doing electrification for under major infrastructure investment. I'm going to guess that's got to be a different department as well. Oh, and Benny comes through with the information on solar incentives in the chat if you're following along there.
Benny's one of our SEM coach in another cohort, so he's we got specific SEM questions. Benny can field those for us.
Outstanding.
So I would like to also add that something I thought of while we were here on the call. We will send out, maybe we'll have Alan send out when he sends the recording out and our slides, some links to these programs that we're talking about today for anyone on the call that wants to learn more, any kind of marketing that we have, that sort of one-page flyers that you could share with your team, your company, your facilities, whomever seems appropriate. So just like Benny did here, we'll make sure we get you those links also, just to plug there. And I will address the electrification. There are incentives on the custom program that are new as of this 2023 that are currently at 18 cents per kilowatt hour of energy saved for switching, which we used to call fuel switching. But if you're going from, say, natural gas to an electric energy source for your equipment, there are incentives up to 100% of project cost for those. You work directly with us, our account managers, our technical customer advocates and engineers, and we can work with you on looking at those projects to see if they are a good fit for custom. So yes, there are incentives available for electrification, depending on the project. I'm not sure about the other programs and how they're addressing those. Eric, maybe you can help out there.
We're running through some electrification programs through industrial systems, and then that's just, again, one similar to custom, but it's designed to work with the local contractors. We call them service providers. So some of those are doing bigger studies like CHP projects and stuff like that. But I think most of what they're taking in, they've got a lot on their plate. So I think most of what's coming in is going over to custom. So yes, we're doing electrification, which is different. I mean, if you had brought it up 5-6 years ago, we weren't, but it's a big thing, and it's gone just from, we're saying energy efficiency has gone just from using less electricity to sustainability goals and carbon reduction, which we got to bring it all in. So yeah, there are some resources for electrification projects also.
Outstanding. So there was a question early on, and we may have touched on it. So Alex Dawson, if you want to sort of work through that question, but the impact of the VFD retrofit on power factor. I think we talked about sort of energy reduction. So
that's a little bit of a different question. Hey, Alex, I'm guessing you're thinking of like facility-wide power factor. If you're just changing out one, you're probably not going to see a huge big difference. The one machine itself with the VFD on it, that's going to go to near unity on that. But if you've got some power factor issues that are system-wide, a few VFDs aren't going to clean that up. But we can look into it. Again, reach out. We'll get someone out there and figure out what the problem is. But maybe that answers your question. Yes, putting the VFD on there, that motor goes to near unity on power factor. But if you've got system problems, there might be some other stuff to look at.
Terrific. I think we've gotten to most of the questions. If there are others, please get those into the chat. Any other just thoughts or comments from our panelists or from our common energy efficiency partners that we want to make sure that we cover today?
Maybe I'll just throw it out there and mention we haven't actually said any numbers, but she said 18 cents per kilowatt hour saved. Those are the custom and incentives available through the industrial systems program. Same number. Put that in perspective. Everybody's a little different depending on how and when you use your energy, but you're most likely, if you're on this call, your industrial customer, you're paying around 8 to 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So again, 8 to 10 is what you're paying. So if you're doing a project that's going to save you $20,000 in electricity cost each year, potentially that could be a check for double that the first year. So this is the idea is here. We're bringing down those first year costs. We're bringing projects paybacks down so that those energy projects can compete with those production projects. So put some numbers out there.
Right.
Outstanding. Again, last call for questions, and not seeing any. I want to thank our incredible panelists for just sharing just so much terrific information and sharing your experience. Um, I'm blown away by just the huge impact that you've been able to have on your businesses and just increasing sustainability for your companies. So congratulations to all three of you for just, I mean, really making a big difference. And again, I'm also blown away by the fact that energy efficiency can be fun. And just really the depth of expertise that's available as a ComEd customer. And I love the idea that you've overcome being skeptical about, like, is this even going to work? And found real life both savings in terms of energy usage and even financially in some cases. So just great stuff. Thank you all again for sharing with the rest of the group, and thank you all for participating today. A great crowd. We will send out all of the information in an email. I think that'll probably come out early next week. So both with a recording as well as some slides, as well as some links, so that we can make absolutely sure that you can follow up on everything here. So again, thank you, panelists. Thank you, attendees. Thank you, ComEd Energy Efficiency. And you all have a terrific weekend. Hopefully it won't be too unbelievably cold here in Chicago. I'm glad that we're ending a little bit early. I'll give you a little bit of extra time for lunch. So so enjoy that and have a terrific weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
weekend.